F1 is finally back, so let's talk about some things that happened over the break and of course the Dutch Grand Prix. I missed you guys and I missed F1, but I did do some F1 related things during the break that I do want to talk about for a second. So I was in Austria for the Eras tour, which because the shows were cancelled, a lot of people went to the center of Vienna with like their outfits and we sang the songs and traded bracelets and stuff. So that was kind of fun. So I had this shirt on, which is like a Daniel Ricciardo Eras tour shirt, which got a lot of compliments, which was very fun, and also traded bracelets with a girl who gave me an Aston Martin bracelet, the top one. I don't think you can see the whole thing. So that was very nice and cute. And if the girl who gave me this is somehow watching this, thank you again very much. You were very sweet. And I'm sorry again that I didn't have an F1 related bracelet to give you back. I don't know why I didn't think of making some. Either way, hope you enjoyed your time. So that is semi F1 related. And the more F1 related thing that I did was that I went to the Red Bull Ring, which of course is also in Austria. And I was in the welcome center and like saw some cars that they have on display. And then I went to the paddock and the pit lane and the pit wall, which obviously nothing's there because all the equipment travels with the Team Siege race, but it was cool nonetheless. So just being there was cool as fuck. And then I also had a driving experience, which they have a lot of to choose from. I did the NASCAR race taxi, which means I went into a NASCAR with a professional driver who gave me 2 hot laps around the circuit. So that was incredibly cool. I had the race suit and a helmet and a balaclava, which I got to keep, and the Hans device and everything, and it was so cool. Obviously I wasn't driving, but like just experiencing the G-forces and the heat and the sound. Oh my god, we had a V8 engine, so it sounded so good. Honestly, one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I wish we could do the tour as well, but we didn't have the timing of it all, didn't work out, so that's fine. Maybe next time. But yeah, that was how I survived my very first summer break of F1. And now let's talk about real F1 things that happened during the break. First and foremost, Carlos Sainz finally made his mind and signed with Williams. Now, I don't really know what I think about that. I mean, he has a lot of trust in Williams and their development. And to be honest, his other options weren't that great. It was Alpine and Sauber and like Mercedes, but not really Mercedes. And also technically Red Bull or V-Carb or whatever they're called. Whatever. His options were Williams or Alpine at the end of the day. And I can see why he didn't want to go to Alpine. Because Williams suck, but at least they're consistent at sucking. Because Alpine started the year dead last, and then they had like a resurgence of some kind, and now they're maybe not dead last, but still one of the worst teams. So they're doing this all the time. It's not stable there. Management is changing again. So I can see why he didn't want to go there. So yeah, good luck at Williams, I guess. I talked about it before, how in 2026 they might perform better because the new regulations are going to be more engine dependent, and Williams obviously have the Mercedes engine, so maybe that's where he's aiming. But at least, I mean, he has a seat, unlike Logan, who I don't think will get a seat for next year, unfortunately, and this might be his last year in F1. So yeah, I feel bad for Logan. I think he's a really good driver, and he was prematurely promoted into F1 into Williams. I mean, in his F2 championship, the year he was with Oscar, they were head and head for the championship in the last race. It came to the last race and everyone thought Logan will win it. And then I think Logan had some issue or something, and then Oscar won it. So if he was that close to Oscar, who we know and everyone knows that he's such a great driver, I think it's very fair to say that Logan is a great driver as well. And I'm pretty sure they were also both in Prema, so it wasn't even different cars. They were both in the same car and they were really close together performance wise. And I think what made him be not as great of a driver right now is that he had little to no experience before he got into the Williams in 2023. His only experience in an F1 car before the 2023 season began was one free practice, and that is all from what I can recall. And Ollie Berman did a interview not so long ago with High Performance, I think, and described how different and how more difficult an F1 car is to an F2 car. So doing that jump with little to no experience or exercise in an F1 car could be really difficult. It is really difficult. And also there's the factor that Williams wasn't and still isn't a very good team for Logan to... When he was performing good, the car wasn't good enough to showcase that. So I think this is all just misfortune. And Logan, if you're someone watching this, which is less likely than the girl who gave me this bracelet watching this, I just want you to know that we think you're talented. We know you're talented. And we love you and we support you. And I guess we'll see you in IndyCar next year. So I gotta get into that quickly. No, but for real, being an F1 driver is not something a lot of people can claim they do or did. So Logan, you did great. So yeah, I obviously like Logan more than I like Carlos. So this is a bit more heart-wrenching for Logan than happy for Carlos. But F1 is just, this is F1. This is the sport, so I just need to learn to deal with that. So that's that. And then we had a second contract confirmed with Jack Doohan going to Alpine next year, which is another rookie next to Ollie Berman. He's been their reserve driver for a long time, and I'm pretty sure he was their junior as well. I'm not particularly educated on the Jack Doohan lore, so sorry for that. But yeah, I'm really just happy to see more new people and new talent coming into F1, and I hope he doesn't get too frustrated with Alpine. And then the last contract talk we can do is that Kimi Antonelli is pretty much confirmed to be going to Mercedes next year. Toto slipped up about something in an interview and pretty much confirmed it. Obviously nothing is confirmed until it is confirmed, but I've already said what I wanted to say about the situation with Kimi. Obviously, I'm very happy for him. He seems like a very nice kid. And obviously, he's insanely talented. Supposedly, the next Max Verstappen. I just hope the expectations from Mercedes and the general public won't crush him, because once again it takes time to adjust to an F1 car. He's barely adjusting to F2. He skipped F3. This is his first year in F2, so even though he's very talented and he's going into a Mercedes, which is a good car, I still don't think his performance will be incredible right out of the gate. So we need to give him some slack, and also Mercedes needs to give him some slack, and that's what I'm hoping for. But I'm thinking Toto's aiming for Kimi to be their next big thing. So that's all the contract talk for today. We also found out that Oscar had a broken rib since Austria. During the summer break, he just dumped that information on us and left the chat. So that's okay. Thanks, Oscar, for that information. And that also means that the injury to win pipeline is very much still true. So keep that in mind. All of the drivers who want to win, you need to injure yourself first. But he's all better now. He had the break to rest and heal, and they fixed, it was like a pressure point in the seat that wasn't right, and they fixed that, so that's good. I mean, technically, it was the G-forces that broke his rib, not the seat, but it's all good now. Supposed to be. And also, if we're talking about the Piastris, of course, there's the iconic Nicole Piastri interview that she did with the Red Flags podcast. But another family member of the Piastris that I wanted to talk about for just a tiny little bit is Hattie, Oscar's sister, who opened a TikTok. And she's just as iconic as her mother and also her brother on social media. They're all just iconic people on social media. So yeah, Hattie Piastri. Go follow her. So now, with all of that behind us, let's talk about the Dutch Grand Prix, Zandvoort. Historic track, came back to the F1 calendar in 2021 and was dominated by Max Verstappen ever since. It's also obviously his home race, and this race in particular was his 200th race. So it's a cool little milestone for him. The track itself seemed really fun to drive, especially with the banking. Weather is a big factor. Wind can be crazy because it's next to the sea, and also rain is very likely and could be unpredictable. So that usually provides some exciting racing. But today we didn't have a wet anything except for 2 practices, which I didn't watch all of them. I just watched the 3rd practice session, which was mostly a red flag because Logan had a really big accident, which thankfully he was fine, but the car was too damaged for the mechanics to repair it to qualifying, so he didn't participate in qualifying. I mean, there was a pretty easy fix there, if you know what I mean. Maybe a payback for Australia, give him Alex's car. But anyways, the red flag came at a point where half of the grid didn't put in a time or didn't even go on track at all. So when the track went green again, it was 2 minutes left to the session, so everyone came out at once, which was kind of chaotic and crazy. And we have unlocked 2 new top 3 graphics for Valtteri Bottas and K-Mag. And then came quali. Max was really struggling. He was like fighting with his car. You can see on his onboard the car does not turn. But at the end, of course, he goes P2. Lewis and Carlos got knocked out in Q2, which Carlos wasn't really surprising. He didn't get much practice. And also the Ferraris weren't really going well until that point. But Lewis was kind of surprising. Not sure what happened there. And then we have Alex, Pierre, and the 2 Aston Martins into Q3. And Lando got pole by 0.3 of a second over Max. And also he has a little mullet now, which I absolutely love. Another thing that happened during the break, which I forgot to mention, but I think it's important to speak about because it looks really good. Lando, please don't get rid of the mullet if you're somehow watching this. Later, Lewis got a penalty for impeding Checo, which got him a 3-grid penalty, and Alex was disqualified because Williams apparently had an illegal floor. So that's fun. All Williams fans were aching and hurting. Anyways, the race. We had a shit start from both McLarens. I'm not sure if it was driver errors for both cases or if the McLaren has an issue with starts. But the Lando bottle starts thing still isn't over. And I kind of lost all hope right there. Lando lost the place to Max. Oscar lost the place to George. Lando's behind Max, but Max couldn't really pull away like he did all of last season. The gap between him and Lando didn't go over 2 seconds the whole time until Lando passed him on lap 18. So Max couldn't pull off the magic that he usually does after struggling the whole weekend and then just winning the race by a margin. So the car is fucked. The car is fucked. Change your fucking car. But not really, because now that I enjoy watching Max struggle, but I'm fine with McLaren winning, so don't fix your car. It's okay. Charles get ahead of Checo at the start, stays in the DRS zone from Oscar, and then successfully undercuts both George and Oscar and gets a fucking podium, which none of us, including Charles and Ferrari, did not expect that to happen at all. With how the Ferraris were looking all throughout the weekend, that result is insane. And also Carlos, who went from P10 to P5. You both outdrove the car, and for once your strategy was good, so congratulations on that. And they also, Ferrari are supposed to be bringing updates soon, so maybe they could be more competitive even, but not too competitive, because again, I'm still enjoying the McLaren thing right now, even though I am a Ferrari fan as well, because everyone is a Ferrari fan. But anyways, Oscar doesn't have a great race. He overcuts George successfully, but can't get in front of Charles. I think he was struggling for pace and with tire degradation, even in clean air. I think it is because he needed to defend from Charles for the first stint and then try to get Charles, and that ate out his tires. So even when he was in clean air, finally, his tires were too far gone. But yeah, just not the greatest weekend for him. But I mean, still P4. That's if that's not a great weekend, then we're in a good place. George was fucked by his pit stops. First one was slow and second one was pretty much unnecessary. Lost him a place to Checo, which I don't think he would have lost that place if it weren't for that stop. There was a point where 4 cars overtook Magnussen on a straight, which was kind of crazy to see from Kevin's onboard. They showed it from Alex's onboard, which was right behind Magnussen, so it seems like a battle between them two. And then they cut to the wide camera and it's like 5 cars coming straight through the straight, all passing, like 4 of them passing Magnussen. Kind of funny to see. And after all they've gone through this weekend, it was a decent race for Williams, actually, with P14 and P16. P14 for Alex and P16 for Logan, who was defending from Yuki for a long time. So good job, Logan, on that. And of course, Lando won! Oh my god! He won his second race, guys. He won from pole. That's his first time doing that. 22 seconds gap to Max. That's insane. This is the biggest gap of this year between P1 and P2. And in the cooldown room, when Charles asked Max what was the gap, he said 20, 21, 22 seconds. Charles was stressing. It's hilarious. Lando also got his fastest lap in that last lap. So yeah, even though he bottled the start, he just had the pace, he had the tire management, and he was flying out there in front. And also he had an iconic post race radio saying simply lovely, which is obviously Max Verstappen's thing to say, which some people took like as throwing shade at Max, especially at his home race, especially that this is like his 200th race. But like, he was joking. It was obvious he was just being a little cheeky and having fun. It's obviously also, I think, adding to the joke that counting the Orange Army as actually just papaya fans because they're both orange. So I think it's all funny and just, it's chill. Okay, guys. Seriously, the hate Lando gets about everything he does is insane. If any other driver would have said that, none of you would have batted an eye. So just saying. So Oscar, again, as I said, struggled with pace and tires, even though also I forgot to say, because he overcut George and obviously tried to overcut Charles as well, his tires were way fresher. But again, I think he kind of killed them because he was in dirty air for the majority of his race. And honestly, I'm very pleased for Charles for having that result. And obviously for Oscar as well. Again, P4 is a great result. And also, Oscar keeps his record for being the only driver to complete every single lap in the 2024 season. So I don't want to jinx you, but keep that going. We also have Inspector Fernando looking at the McLaren car after the race has ended. And I saw some funny comment on that video saying, he got Seb's seat and also his inspector license. A few other things is that Constructors Trophy was gorgeous, as well as the, not sure if it was the medical or safety car, but either one or both maybe. They were beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We sadly didn't get to see, or thankfully didn't get to see the safety car, but it was beautiful nonetheless. And the drivers' trophies, I think, were very, very cute and nice. Some people were really hateful, which I mean kind of proves the point. If you don't know, it was full of like quotes or like sayings relating to mental health that race drivers specifically go through. Obviously, Max and Charles also got those, but just Lando winning the P1 trophy of the mental health awareness trophy, that seems right. And of course, Max and Charles Verstappen, they're back. Very, very nice, very cute. The race itself wasn't amazing. It was kind of boring. I mean, Lando just drove away, kind of like Max did all of last year. But I'm fine with it, honestly. I'm fine with McLaren having a dominance era, which I don't think they're really in, but I can hope. Let me hope. Let me dream. Let me experience what Red Bull fans experienced last year and the year before. And the year before that as well. Is there a chance for Lando to get the championship? I don't think so. I think mathematically it is possible. I mean, it is possible mathematically. I know that. But it's not probable. I do think, however, McLaren are going to get the Constructors' Championship, which is very exciting. I mean, technically, in like F1 terms, that's a better result than a Drivers' Championship because F1 is a team sport first, so like that's the main goal, I guess. So yeah, it's a good year to be a papaya fan. I joined at the right time, thank God. I don't think I could have survived 2021 McLaren or 2022, even worse. I don't want to think about that actually. So yeah, that is it for today. Excited for Monza. That's where I started watching F1 last year, so I don't know what that gives me, but okay. Enjoy these memes. Bye.